Hello, everyone, and good morning, and welcome back to Inflow's Focus on the Contact Center. And today we have a really interesting topic. It's actually an exciting topic, and I want to thank you for joining us today. Today's topic is voice analytics, powering your customer experience. And today we have a guest presenter today called Journey, one of our proven partners, a partner that we believe in and have high value in, and hopefully through this presentation today, you'll see the product and see the value equally as well. Now, as we always do, we always share coming soon webinars of interest to you. The one that's coming later this week, and this one has quite a bit of interest, is the 21st at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll be presenting the topic of Microsoft Teams and Contact Center. So for those of you folks that have really been around Contact Center and paying attention to what's happening in the industry, there's such a play for the UC space and the CRM space, and Microsoft Teams has really pulled to the forefront. I think we run into Microsoft Teams quite often when we're engaged with clients. The follow-up webinar next week on the 27th at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time as well will be for our Mitel ShoreTel clients who are migrating from 14.2 to Connect and what to expect in that process. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get rolling through our presentation today and discover today's topic. Now, as always, sometimes we venture into discussion points that take us down a rabbit hole, and we want to make sure we can address everyone's topic today. We have 30 minutes today. However, if you do need to reach to us afterwards, feel free to call us at this phone number here or reach out to contact@inflowcommunications.com. Any questions you have can be presented there, and I'm always an open book. Happy to help anyone, whether or not you're a customer of ours. I've been in the industry for quite a while. I know how difficult it is to get information, so please feel free to use the contact information here and reach out with your questions. By way of introduction, I think some of you I've already met. I see some of the names on the attendees today. I'm Chris Riccio. I'm the Director of Contact Center and Advanced Applications here at Inflow. I've been in the industry about 25 plus years, and at Inflow specifically for 5 years, and I really enjoy working here. And today, as usual, Luisa Seda is our moderator, who is a sales project coordinator with experience of 7+ years. So he'll be checking for questions. Feel free to add your questions on the right there as you see. And Luis, thanks for being here. And would you like to say hello this morning?
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Chris. Hope everyone enjoys today's webinar. It will be awesome.
Thanks, Luis. Appreciate that very much. And today, as I mentioned, we have the great pleasure of having one of our best technology partners from Call Journey, who has the Call Journey application voice analytics, Brett Marsh. Brett Marsh is the VP of Sales in North America, and I've also listed Brett's contact information there. We're going to turn this over to Brett in just a few moments, but Brett, I wanted to give you an opportunity to say hello, and thank you for joining our session today.
Thank you, Chris. It's always a pleasure to work with you guys. Hello, everybody.
Thanks, Brett. And you know, I have to say this about Call Journey. So some of the things that I think you're going to experience today, it's a super easy application to adopt and use despite its analytics nature. I know that when it comes to reporting analytics, people tend to stand back a bit, but hopefully you'll see quite a bit that's tangible and easy to use. So with that said, let's get into our agenda today. We already passed through our introductions, but I'm going to give you an overview of Inflow Communications and sort of our touch points and our claim to fame, if you will. Then we'll get into a quick discussion on brand loyalty and customer experience and really what's driving the industry today. And as part of that, you know, how do you gauge the pulse of your customer experience? I know people have proven ways of doing it today, but those ways may not be giving you the leverage you need, which takes us to our discussion point today with Call Journey. So we'll cover a Call Journey basics, give you sort of a roadmap of how the product processes the data it receives, and then we'll take you into an actual real-time demo into Workbench, which is the analytics engine and capabilities for reporting, et cetera. And then we'll summarize with a summary and QA. So that being said, let me give you a brief overview of Inflow Communications. For those of you that are here and have attended our sessions regularly, thanks for coming back, and you are familiar with Inflow Communications. So this is largely for the folks that have never met Inflow Communications, but I guess you have a sense of us because you found our webinar. Our sole focus at Inflow Communications is unified communications and contact center solutions only. We're not looking to sell servers and network equipment, firewalls, et cetera. We're solely focused on unified communications, and contact center is our specialty. While unified communications is our history, it tends to be a commodity these days, and contact center is really where the industry is at, and I'm really excited about that. We are currently a ShoreTel Mitel Platinum partner. We also are a partner of RingCentral, and we are a Genesys Gold partner, a Genesys Cloud Gold tier partner. We're #2 nationally and #5 internationally with the Genesys Cloud brand. We do maintain offices and employees across the US in 10 states. We also have some abroad in the Philippines and in Honduras. We have over 200,000 endpoints that we support and over 800 customers that have a worldwide footprint, including down into Brazil, Honduras, the Philippines, Germany, etc. The one thing, if you've been with us before, is that we are maniacal about customer experience and customer service. Where I will add to that, we're not maniacal about knowledge and bringing the best products to our clients, helping our clients constantly see what's happening out in the technological world, hopefully keeping you ahead of your base and helping you grow your business. Here's a list of some of our clients that you no doubt recognize: Domino's, Zillow. If you're in the commercial space, you might recognize ThyssenKrupp. They are the premier elevator manufacturer support service folks. And then Driscoll's, who has some great berries. And so with all that being said in our quick interview or intro there, let's get into today's topic. I think it's an exciting topic, and in previous presentations, we have talked about customer engagement, we've talked about analytics, and most recently, we've talked about adjacent technologies. And it's my belief that regardless of the solution you have for your contact center operation, that the contact center extends outside the contact center itself. And so with that, you're always going to have some sort of adjacent technologies to depend upon. And one of them that has come to the forefront is voice analytics. I cannot express that every conversation I have with any existing clients or new clients, the buzzword is voice analytics and how it can transform a business. So we're going to chalk this up to unlocking your potential, how to use voice data to give you more insight into your processes. Now today, in the contact center industry, it's interesting to see what's been happening over the last, I would say 3 to 7 years, but more dramatically in the last 3 years. Customer experience is flatly the epicenter of what's happening in every contact center operation. I talk to CEOs now who are sitting right next door to the contact center, very interested in what's happening in the contact center. And driving all of that is growth and customer loyalty and driving customer brands. Every contact center operation is impacted by that, so much so that it seems to be the primary initiative, aside from some of the long-term KPIs that people look at, but customer loyalty is really where it's at. And what's really driving that need for retaining your customers and growth is that customers have options. And some of the options they're looking for is, what type of communication do I have to go through to work with your brand or your business? So omni-channel is a big deal. If you're not doing voice calls, texting, email, web chat, and now bots, you're less likely to retain a client because a customer wants to go somewhere easy and nimble. Having easy access to your brand, to your tools, to your services is the #1 thing that clients are looking for, and the #1 reason that clients deviate from your brand. Clients are looking for tools which are ubiquitous now, such as SMS. Self-service is a big deal. It's no longer IVR self-service. It's self-service either through your website, through bots processing, which we've addressed heavily in our recent webinars. It's all about today what the customer wants, and the customers want options. They want to choose how they communicate with you. And ultimately, what that is changing is the dynamic in your contact center, because if I'm a user, a customer who's using technology primarily as my source, when I actually need to reach to somebody in your contact center, your agent, your care specialist, your financial advisor, I expect nothing but great customer service. And this is what is really becoming challenging and why it's such a key focus for most contact center operations. So when it comes to customer experience, how do we better understand our customer's experience? Now, most of us are looking for feedback in one of several ways. And I will tell you that feedback is the hardest thing to obtain from customers sometimes, but I will tell you it comes down to how easy you make it for your client. It is a full-time effort for most operations, and you're likely depending upon either after-call surveys, which used to be the de facto way to elicit feedback, but I'm going to venture a guess and say less than 5% of folks actually take phone calls anymore that they don't recognize, nor do they opt in for after-call surveys. Email surveys is a big part of that, but when I look at email processes, and certainly now in this pandemic, it seems that everyone's getting deluged with emails, that email surveys are sort of taking a back seat. SMS surveys, I've seen a slight uptick, but ultimately when it comes to client surveys, it's sort of if I have time, I'll do it. If not, um, I'm not interested, or they'll just ignore the request. The one thing about surveys too and the processing is that most folks make it too complicated or too long for the customer. Think about what the customer's offering. They're going to give you feedback. You've got to make your questions direct, and you've got to keep it short. I can't tell you how many surveys I've opted in for that after the third question, where I only see a 10% ticker in terms of exposure and how far I've completed, that I just close down. I just don't have the time to spend half an hour. So when you think about surveys and think about those options, you need to clip it and keep it concise and to the point. So this is where voice analytics actually gives you another pathway to gather more data. And adding to it, rather than getting a percentage of feedback, you have the opportunity to get 100% feedback, engaging your customer's experience. And voice analytics is leading the technology that most contact centers are adopting today for depth and insights. And to give you sort of an overview of voice analytics, what is voice analytics for those that are not familiar with it? Voice analytics defined as the process of analyzing recorded calls to gather information to improve communication. Hopefully you're using the information that you gather through this process to chart a pathway to make future interactions easier for your customer, more enjoyable for your customer, and more directly to the point. Voice analytics is getting heavy play right now in automating the QA process. QA for most contact centers, you're probably QAing maybe 3% of your activity. Most contact center QA analysts that I work with have a policy of let's listen to 3 call recordings per rep per month. When you think about the grand scheme of it, 3 calls per rep, what if you have 2 reps? That's really not giving you a real clear indication of what's happening with your customer experience. A lot of times QA is relegated just to agent performance. And it's my belief that QA is a 3-dimensional process. It's not just about agent performance. It's about what's happening on the other side with the customer, what's going on with the desktop experience. You know, I've spent a lot of time looking at agent desktops. I think that's a critical aspect as well. And ultimately, once you get past those factors, how much time do you have left to actually spend on customer experience? And that's really where the challenge is. When you have 1,000 calls in a week, do you have enough time to listen to 1,000 calls? Chances are no. And so let's take a closer look at one of the solutions that we have partnered with, we being Inflow Communications, and that we actually include this product in some of our support offering because it does have tremendous value. And with that said, today we have with us Brett Marsh, who is with Call Journey Voice Analytics Solution, and he is the VP of Sales for North America. So I'd like to turn it over to Brett here.
Thanks, Chris. And that was a perfect overview of kind of the value that we see for voice analytics. Great job. You can go to the next slide. Everybody, great to be with you. And you can click the next one. I think there's probably segments on that slide. There we go. So I'll give you just a one slide overview of kind of how voice analytics works, and then we'll hop into a brief demo. So understanding that recorded conversation, we grab those. We see here it says Genesis on the screen because we are a global partner with Genesis, but we are platform agnostic, so any audio source is fine. But we grab the recorded audio, the metadata, we push that into Call Journey, where we do a couple things. One, we transcribe it for speech to text. So now you understand exactly what was said in that conversation. And then next, we actually, you can push next one. We also score for sentiment and emotion. So now you understand how things were said. And then number 4, which one of the things that makes us very unique, so Chris mentioned earlier that we're really easy to use, but we also give a lot of flexibility around where that data is pushed to. So once you have that voice data, you can view it in our analytic dashboard, which I'll show you here in just a second. But we also give our customers the ability to push that into any other tool or analytic environment they may have, such as Power BI or Tableau or eMite or those tools. So we offer a lot of flexibility around that. I think, Chris, if it's okay, I'll go ahead and probably and start sharing my screen so we can hop into a demo.
Sure.
Okay, let me know when you guys can see that.
Yes,
And then
we
I'll
can.
begin. Great. So, so I guys can push that down. So about that. So what you guys are looking at now on the screen is the call journey dashboard. So the calls have now come into the platform. And so what you're looking at here is kind of the output of the analytics for that. There's a couple of different views. I'll take you through a quick view. There's really three sections that we provide. The first one is kind of we call an overview section. And it looks like my internet is actually going slow. I apologize for that. Why is it dragging? So what we're doing, because we give our customer the flexibility to push a certain limit or a certain amount of volume into the platform, it doesn't have to be 100%. I can look at an overview to see what calls were brought into the platform, look at things like volume, you know, average talk time per agent versus client. I can look at an overview from a duration perspective. And guys, I do apologize. My internet's a little bit slow this morning, but I can look at things like duration. And not only can you see how long the calls were, but how much the agent was talking versus the client, how much silence was on the call. And I can also look at this from an emotion perspective. And the emotion category shows me things like, you know, were calls going through, was it in positive? Was it improving? Was it worsening? Or was it negative? So we kind of give a high-level view from there. We also give you the ability to do kind of ad hoc searches in the platform, which basically says, I want to go down here. Maybe I want to find calls of relevance. So for example, I've got just over 1,500 calls in this demo set here. Maybe I want to go through and find some calls that may be of interest. I can do it by any word or phrase or combination thereof. I can do I want to find calls where maybe only the agent said something or the client said something? I can narrow that search down by things like by gender, by emotion levels. I also have some more advanced filters like only show me calls of a certain duration, or how much overtalk, how much silence is on the call. These are all really important metrics when you're looking for things like agent performance. So I'll give you a quick example. Let's go through and I'll find calls where the client emotions was negative. I'm now down to 400 and almost 60 calls. Let me put in the words not happy. I'm not exactly sure how they may have said it, so I'll put it within a few words of each other. And now I see I have 3 hits. And from a preview, I can see this would say I'm not very happy, I'm just not happy. If I click on that, straight away, it will open up the actual call file for me. So now what I'm looking at is actually the file that came in. I see on the right side, here's all the details about that call, right? I can see how it scored against all these different metrics. Indeed, the client emotion was negative. The agent was positive. Here's metadata that was brought in. And then I can listen to this call in its entirety. It's almost 4 minutes. Or I can go ahead and I can, on the right side, is the actual transcript of the call. So I can read through this very quickly. These arrows take me right to my search terms. One of the really nice features, if you have a call that's longer, like this call is almost 4 minutes, I can go straight here. If I click anywhere in this box, it will play just this segment for me. So I don't have to listen to or read through the entirety of a call. If I click on this link, it will create a link that I can send to an agent or supervisor, and it will take them right to that section of the call. So now you can go through an 8 or 10 minute call and QA or listen to this in less than a minute by using the arrows and these terms. So that's just a brief overview of how quickly we can go into and actually find calls and listen to them and review them. Chris, I'll pause right here before I get into the really good stuff to see if there's any questions so far.
Yeah. So obviously you can do a lot with analytics here. So how are customers getting the most value from voice analytics? I mean, in what way?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. The perfect segue, because what you're looking at right here now are these things we call applications or apps. The real value is that they can start to automate all the things that they want to track and measure inside the call center. So, for example, all these applications are, and by the way, everything you're seeing here today is right out of the box. This is how we deliver it. It's very easy to customize that as well. But so to answer your question, the number one use case we see is to automate the QA or compliance process. Like you said, a lot of customers are listening to 3% or less of the call volume, but you can now do, 30, 40, 50, 100% of your calls automatically. And I'll give you an example. What you're looking at, this is our agent performance application. And this application or this dashboard, all it is predefined search terms and criteria that we always want to score. So under agent performance, I have communication skills, effectiveness, right, politeness, professionalism. So automatically, if I click on this particular day for we see, were the agents actively listening? Are they using positive words? Are they being responsive? If I go to politeness, some of the categories are, well, did my agent do the proper closing or proper greeting? And right here is a great example where our customers will take their scripts and their processes, lay it right on top of call journey. So now we're measuring really what's applicable to our customers. So this is how they're getting the most value out of the platform, is very easily editing or creating these dashboards, if you would, of the metrics that are important to them that they always want to track and measure, like maybe red flag words or angry customers, and automatically see, what's going on inside the conversations. Did I answer your question?
You did. And then, so here's another
Yeah.
question for you. So we have several BPO customers. How easy is it for them to customize that process? Because each of them are in different verticals. Some are finance, some are healthcare, and some are collections.
Sure. No, absolutely. It's a great question. So we have several BPO customers as well. And the nice thing about that is, again, what we deliver called Journey, things are out of the box to say, hey, we have these dashboards pre-configured, but the nice workbench, not only is it the analytics tool, it's also the rules engine. And it's all done with a basic admin level skill set. I just took you into the rules engine piece of this. Here was my agent performance application. Here are my main categories. If I go to politeness, right? And then I go to, here's my subcategory, go to greeting. Here's all the words and phrases that we've pre-populated that would constitute a proper greeting. And you can see how he's playing around in here. There's howdy. Maybe we don't want to say howdy, but we want to say aloha. If I wanted to, aloha could now be an acceptable greeting. So it's really a matter of just going in and finding out what words and phrases and things they want to track and measure. And we can very quickly go in and edit those. So to answer your question, you've got a BPO customer, not only can we easily edit these things, another nice feature is you can actually parse the calls into different organizations and folders. So for example, you may have customer 1 in one folder, customer 2 for another, and all these applications are assigned to the folder level. So you can easy to customize, easy to parse it out, push only certain calls into certain metrics. A good example, a lot of our customers do things like, hey, I have maybe tech support versus customer service versus sales. So we create different folders for each of those. And then the metrics that apply to those folders can all be customized to each individual folder as well. So we give a lot of flexibility around that. I'll show you guys one other thing. Not only can we look what's going on across my business, but I can scroll down and see how well are my agents performing against those metrics. All these applications work the same in that I have my agents, and by the way, the agent names are populated here, and I can see how well my agents are performing against all these categories. So if I want to go to look at overall, just my communication skills, And I can look at an agent view to see where I might have an agent who might need some coaching or training. I can drill into those calls. And then I'll show you one other application real quick, since you mentioned customer service. Our customer experience application really kind of gives some insights into discovering root cause, maybe good and or poor experience. For example, under negative experience, some of our subcategories are maybe for complaints, or anger, or for profanity or confusion. So if I see this day I had 5 calls that said there was anger, maybe I should go ahead and click on that. I can scroll down and look at it in my agent view to see my agents, but I can also just switch to the file view, and then here were those 5 calls that said were angry. What words do we pick up in there? Very upset, I'm upset, that's just not right. So we've heard those words or phrases in that conversation. And if I want to, I can click on this, and straight away it will actually open up the file for me so I can get in and look at that or listen to it if I want to in more detail. So I'm going to pause here. Chris, I think I've given an overview, and I think the bottom line the customer should know is this: any metric that you want to track or measure can be easily put into these applications and automatically go ahead and score those, so you can see exactly what's going on inside the business, quickly see the metrics at a business level, at an agent level, actually go into those calls, and really designed to help automate and give insights into the call center.
Awesome. What I like about the tool is that no matter where you select in the data screen or the visual, it's constantly populating with data down below. So it's never a lost effort. I know that a lot of times when dealing with analytics, you're drilling down, et cetera, and you're having to refresh data. That's one of the things I really appreciate that, because it makes it a very simple and easy way to adopt the application. So let's see here. If you can pass the controls back to me, I'll share my screen here.
Did I do that okay?
Let's see, I'm waiting for it to come up for me. Luis, can you jump in there and
oh, here we go. Here we go. You have it, Chris. I got it back to you now.
Let's see. Maybe it's my internet.
Yeah. I believe I passed the presenter back to you. Do you have it?
Not yet.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, I got it.
Okay.
Okay, you see my screen now?
Good.
All right.
Got it.
Okay, great. So thanks so much for that overview. That's one of the things I really appreciate the tool. A lot of times when it comes to advanced technology, and I do classify voice analytics as an advanced technology, it can sort of be off-putting because it's another tool yet to learn. But my experience is that without ever having seen the product before, is that I could actually get into the product and just start pointing and clicking, getting relevant feedback. So that's one of the things that I really appreciate it, because it doesn't really take a brain surgeon to kind of be able to navigate and get some value out of the product. So one of the key reasons that Inflow partner with Call Journey, the obvious value and the ease of use, because adoption has to be the #1 goal for any application despite its effectiveness. So in summary, voice analytics, it lets you, if I can put this in bullet points, visualize 100% of recorded calls. And when it comes down to the processes, you heard Brett talk about the #1 use case and the value that clients are getting out of it is automating QA and compliance, but also the relevance to the customer experience is also critical there as well. I would add that as a subtext there. So visualizing 100% of your recorded calls and getting contextual information that's easy to read, very similar to dashboard, and most contact center users are familiar with dashboards. We've talked about the ability to automate the QA process and creating business-specific application processes. Now, Brett showed us at the top of his screen where you had the age and performance, but there was also, I saw an application for COVID and customer experience. You can create any sort of words that fit your vernacular or your certain industry that you're trying to target, whether it's compliance, whether it's sales, whatever the industry is, you can create an application. I use the term application loosely because you're simply creating a category from which to draw data from. And then ultimately, it's exposing the details of your customer's experience. And it's not just a limited percentage. It's not 3%. It's 100% of interactions. So the value it represents is very deep and far and wide. It certainly gets you closer to the response rate than you're used to seeing in surveys and calls and emails, that sort of thing. Again, if you have some questions as a result of our topic today, or you'd like to have a one-on-one discussion with either Brett or myself, feel free to reach out to me at the 800 number listed here, or you can reach me at contact@inflowcommunications.com. Again, I love to give away my free time to help clients really understand where they can go with the product. And if you'd rather work with Brett directly, Brett's contact information is here as well. With that being said, we sincerely appreciate your time today and spending another half hour with us, and we'll see you on our next webinar Contact Center. And thanks again, Brett, for joining us, and thank you, Luis.